What's up, YouTube? Welcome everybody back to the channel. This video is hard for me to make. I've been putting it off for about 2 or 3 weeks, going over everything, going through all the emotions. But yes, probably you guys know from the title of the video, the Trackhawk is down again. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the engine blew on me in the Trackhawk, and it was really tough to process at the time. I did a good job of handling it at the time, but as time set in, it was really hard for me just to think about everything I've been through with the Trackhawk. I thought about selling it. I thought about a lot of things. So I'm gonna get into what happened. If you wanna support the channel, now's the time. You can go to airborneamerican.com and buy a hat or a shirt or a hoodie. If you're ever gonna think about supporting the channel, now's the time to do it, because the Trackhawk is gonna need a new engine. But if you can leave a like or a comment, that works out too. Subscribe to the channel, I appreciate it a lot. But let's get into what happened, even though it's gonna be hard for me to talk about. And one thing before I get into what happened to the Trackhawk, I just wanna tell you guys, especially the younger guys or even some of the older guys, things are always gonna happen to you, especially in the car game. You're gonna have extreme highs and extreme lows. You're always gonna have those ups and downs, but just realize no matter how bad it seems in the situation, everything that happens to you happens for a reason. It's hard to see the bright side sometimes, especially when you're in the moment, but I'm telling you, everything that happens to you is to make you a better person, a stronger person, and to get you further in life. So you have to take everything as a building block in life and just roll with the punches. Do not let life beat you down. Take that hit, get back up, and hit back. So I'll get into what happened now. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in the Trackhawk with somebody. They never were in a Trackhawk before. I wanted to show them a good time, and I wanted to show off a little bit. For those of you that have seen Smokey and the Bandit, one of my favorite all-time movies, there's a part in there where Sally Fields asks Burt Reynolds, what does he do for a living? And I'll try my best to quote it directly, but he goes, well, I just go from place to place and do what I do best. And she goes, and what's that? And he goes, show off. And she smiles and goes, yeah, you do that well. So one thing I like to do in all my cars, whether it's the Trackhawk, the Mustang, or the Charger, whatever I'm driving, I always like to show off for people that never been in the cars before. So sometimes that can come back to bite you, but like I just said, everything happens for a reason. Hard to see the silver lining sometimes, but it's there, trust me. So like I was saying, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in the Trackhawk with somebody that had never been in one, especially a built one. Many people don't even know about these things, so I wanted to show this person what this thing can do and show off a little bit. So we're on the highway just driving, and when I went to get off the highway exit to go to my spot, I looked back and I seen an F8 green Jeep Grand Cherokee. I could tell it wasn't a normal Grand Cherokee. It was lowered. It had some special colored calipers on there. And I'm like, this might be a Trackhawk, or at the minimum, an SRT8. And he was like flying on the highway. It looked like he was trying to catch up to me. I wasn't paying attention behind me because I was too busy paying attention to the passenger and driving. So when I got off the exit ramp and I went up, what's going through my head is, do I jump back on and catch them and show this person what this thing can really do? And I mean, it was almost an instant decision. I cut across the road, jumped back on the highway and hit it. Caught up to him, caught up right behind him. I mean, we're right behind each other. And he starts weaving through traffic, gunning it and stuff like that. And I don't really like to do that. That's not my thing. I'm more about, hey, let's find an open spot, line up, slow down, 1, 2, 3, and let's see who can go. This is America. That's what we do. We don't really road race here. There's people that do, but that's not the most popular thing. Here in the good old US of A, 2-time World War II champs, we like the straight line drag race or roll race on the highway. I know a lot of you old timers don't like the roll racing thing, but with all the tracks that are closing now, it's just becoming what is the popular thing. So I'm right behind him and he starts weaving through traffic. And we're in the left lane. It's a 3-lane highway. Mind you, this is all happening in Mexico, okay? All happen in Mexico. Just got to say that as a disclaimer. We're in the left lane. I'm right behind him. He jumps over to the middle. I jump over to the right, and I start coming up on him. Traffic hits me, and I have to slow down and get back behind him. I jump back behind him. He jumps in the left lane. We're going in the left lane. We finally find an open, clear spot in the in the Mexican highway. He rolls down his window and I think he's about to go 1, 2, 3. So I'm downshifted. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit it. And instead of like going 1, 2, 3 or honking it or making any kind of hand gesture about racing, he just goes like this and points back to me. So I immediately look back, and out of the back window, there was nothing but smoke. I couldn't see anything out the back window, and I seen the concerned look on his face. So I hurried up and pulled over. He pulled over and got behind me, which I appreciate him doing that. But I was like, hey man, just go, just get out of here. Like, I'll be fine. I'll call a tow truck, whatever. So I immediately started inspecting the Trackhawk. I look behind it. I look underneath it. I don't see any trail of oil. So I'm like, all right, if it's not oil, what could it be? The cloud that was covering the back window was all white. And I'm like, okay, it's not blue. So I'm like, maybe it's not engine oil. Maybe it's coolant. And you have to think, in this built engine of mine, I have the Carrillo H-beam rods. Rods that are in this motor are pretty much some of the best, if not the best, rods you can get for this motor before going billet. So like I said, they're the Carrillo H-beam rods. Even TKM offers them as like the upgraded package. So I didn't think it sent a rod through the block. I mean, I'm not even making anywhere close to the horsepower that you would need, or that I would need, to send a rod through the block. So I'm like wondering what could happen. I'm wondering if the rings let go, or a piston, something. I was having problems with this engine before, and I knew it wasn't a matter of if, it was when. And I was just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. But I would 100% go back and do everything again. Okay, I'm not taking anything back. I don't want to have anything that I can't hammer on, which is one reason I hardly ever drive the Charger, and I rarely ever post videos of the Mustang. A lot of people have been asking videos of me to post of the Whipple T56 Magnum XL Mustang, but I beat on these things so hard, and I go even harder when I'm on video to try to show off for you guys. So I don't want anything that I can't beat on, and that's gonna lead into something in the video, and I will show you what the Trackhawk is doing and how it sounds. But before I do, I just wanna say that I was coming off that high. That was Roadkill Nights event. I still had to stick around driving around with it, and I was just, you know, on that high. I was like having a good time with it. And you know, the worst things happen when you're, you know, at the highest point. You know, you always get hit with that uppercut, but like I said, you got to get back up. You got to take that hit and hit back. So yeah, this motor's pretty much done. I'll include a video of what it was doing when I brought it back home. But to backtrack a little bit, I'm pulled over on the highway. I looked behind it, underneath it, I didn't see any oil. Well, then I popped the hood and I didn't see anything either except smoke coming out of this RSP custom catch can. And it was a white smoke. I'll include it in the video. But I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this engine. I've had so many problems with this engine. I'm driving this thing home. I'm not waiting for a tow truck on the side of the road, because you never know who called. You know, somebody might have called the Federale on me for what I was doing with the other Trackhawk, which I just want to say this real quick. We were running that Trackhawk down. I don't think he would have had a chance, especially with that RSP saw center. We were coming up on him when we did get a chance to get up side by side. But anyways, back to the story. I was about 5 miles away from home, and I'm just like, you know what? F it. I'm driving this thing home. I'm done with this motor. I'm gonna call James as soon as I get home and see what we can do with this thing. So I drive it about 5 miles home, and the block got toasty. It got up to like 265. It was smoking out of that catch can the whole time. And I knew, I'm like, there's no way this motor is gonna be reusable unless it goes to the machine shop and gets redecked, because all that temperature and heat in it, I know that engine just got warped. Everything in that engine is probably warped as far as the block and the heads and stuff like that. So I knew it, but like I said, I've been having so many problems with this engine since I got it back that I was just like, you know what? I'm ready to start new. Even though I didn't have the money, I can't stand having something that I know I can't lean on. All my stuff I want to go hard on. My women, the cars, everything. I'm gonna be hard on it, and it better be able to take the abuse. And if not, It's not meant for me, period. So as soon as I got home, I sent James this video. And he texted me like immediately back. He's like, probably rod knock. He's like, we have to get it here. I'm not know for sure, but it sounds like rod knock from the video. After going further into it, it probably might not be rod knock. I'm hoping it's not, but you never know. It could be a multitude of things. So he called me like 5 minutes after I sent him that message, and he's like, hey, what happened? Tell me what happened. I told him the whole story, and he's like, all right, well, it's done now. What do you want to do? We got to get you back on the road. We got to get you racing. That's what I like about James. He's always going to be behind you. He knows stuff's going to happen, but he's going to try to work with you to find the best result. So he's like, what do you want to do now? What happened. Let's find a solution. He's like, we could probably get you in here in the next couple of weeks. He's like, I'm super busy, but he's like, I can try to squeeze you in. It all depends on what you want to do. He did say that he had a brand new 426 built sitting in the shop, just needed a pair of heads. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, money is an issue. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford that. How much is that gonna run me? And he's like, it's gonna be like $25,000. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't have that type of money to dump into the Trackhawk right now, which was why I was holding back to go Whipple. I had the money and the means to go Whipple, but I knew something was wrong with the motor, so I wanted to hold off and see if it was gonna hold together. Well, it turned out that it didn't. It came apart on me. Something's wrong with it. Before I left for the Roadkill Nights event, I was switching belts, and I started it up with the hood popped, and I heard a little tick, 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 tick coming out of here. And I thought maybe it might have been the supercharger, but it sounded like a valve issue, sounded like a head issue, because when it warmed up, it wouldn't weigh. And I don't know if that's something that happens with rod knock. I don't know if when the engine warms up and the oil gets moving around, that a rod knock will go away. I've always been told that's like a lifter or a valve issue. When you get everything warm and the oil filtered through there, it calms that little tick down. Should I have pulled the valve cover and checked the springs and everything like that? Yeah, I 100% should have. But like I said, I was fed up of having problems with this motor. This is the second built engine that's been in this thing, and the block has been reused twice. So for those of you that are new to the channel, I'll just do a brief breakdown right now. Something happened to the stock motor. I'm not gonna say what. I'm not trying to burn any bridges or anything like that. I don't wanna put any smoke on anybody or anything like that. I'm just telling you what happened. So something happened with the stock motor. I was hooked up on a $22,000 built long block. Everything was great with that until it wasn't. The crank snout snapped off on me. Nobody's fault. Things just happen in this car game. When you're dealing with stuff like this, making high horsepower, stuff just happens. So I'm not placing the blame on anybody. The crank snout broke. Livernois did me a huge solid and rebuilt that whole engine and put it back in. And then after some time, we started to develop the oiling issue, which, like I said, we never really figured it out. I tried to do like Band-Aid stuff, like the valve covers, the catch can to fix the crankcase pressure, but it might have been too late by then. You don't know. Like, I'm telling you, I run this thing hard. The only person that I know runs their car or vehicle harder than me is my buddy Paul. He goes by Pete Jester on YouTube and other social media. I'll tag him up here, but he's the only guy that goes to the track and runs his car harder than me. So I'm hard on this thing. But anyways, what we're gonna do as a solution to fix the Trackhawk, get this thing back on the road and put this thing in the 9-second quarter-mile pass at the strip and on the street is our goal. So what are we gonna do? So I told James, hey, I don't have the money for that 426 as much as I'd like to go with it. And here's the thing about James. James is like a Tony Stark when it comes to these Trackhawks and these cars. He is so mathematical and thinks about the equations, everything. He told me that a 426 in the Trackhawk with the same setup, stock blower, everything the same, would make like another 175 horsepower just because of the cubic inch. And he broke it down to me in a math aspect. I mean, he's crazy smart when it comes to the Trackhawks. Everything from the gear ratios and the front and rear diff to the transmission to the transfer case to the gears that are in the transmission itself. He knows so much about these Trackhawks. He's literally the Trackhawk genius, and it shows. RSP has every single Trackhawk record there is and has had it for like a year or two. And everybody keeps talking, hey, we're coming for you, hey, we're coming for you, but they don't even know what we got up our sleeve. We are just tip of the iceberg on these Trackhawks. I'm telling you, one thing these guys don't want to do is light a fire underneath James. All James needs is that little bit of chip on his shoulder, and he's coming for you. He's coming. And I mean, it shows, like I said, every single Trackhawk record RSP owns. So what we're going to do about putting a new engine in the Trackhawk, we decided to do what me and James are going to call the RSP serial number 001 package, what is a BGE block. For those of you that don't know what a BGE block is, it's just basically a Hellcat block. And we're either gonna go Hellcat crank, 6.4 stroke, or excuse me, 6.2 stroke, or we're gonna go 6.4 stroke with a 392 crank. I'm leaning towards the 392 because it's gonna give me a little bit more stroke. So the motor that's in the Trackhawk right now, this is what Livernois Motorsports calls a mini stroker. It's a 401 cubic inch. So if I go with the 392, it's almost there. You know, I'm almost as what I have now, but we're gonna do a set of rods. It's gonna be a rods and pistons motor. And James said this motor is gonna be like an unbreakable 100,000 mile motor, because he said, hey, I know how you drive your stuff. We need to give you something strong, but not too crazy. Because the thing about the 426s is you can make them somewhat reliable, but you're not gonna get 100,000 miles out of the engine. Like James is saying, I'm gonna get with this new RSP serial number 001 engine. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down to RSP in a couple weeks. I'm excited to go. I miss all those guys. I can't wait to see the crew. Maybe I can get a few of you to meet me out there and we can have a little bash, go to the spot. Those guys race all the time. I mean, last time I was there, it was a random Wednesday and there was a cash days and it was lit, if you remember the video. So that's what's going on with the Trackhawk. Like I said, I was really beat down about it. It was hard for me to process and think about everything. In the moment, I did fine. You know, I'm easy at processing things in the moment because I was in the military and we're taught how to handle a stressful situation and get out of that situation quick. But that's why a lot of us have PTSD and mental health issues, because when we calm down, we got a chance to think about everything that happened and process it. So the Trackhawk was really tough to see that happen to it. I want to wipe something that's on the back of the Trackhawk. I haven't wiped it yet. I don't know if the GoPro is going to pick it up, but there is a thick film on there. I'm going to get a white rag and wipe it off and see what it looks like. All right, got my white rag. I'm just going to wipe this from side to side and we'll see what comes off, if anything. Oh, it's coming off. It's black. Try to put that in the light. Yep, it's just black. So I don't know what it could be. A lot of it's probably just dirt, but yeah, that's what it looks like, soot. I'm gonna start it up right now and see what it does. All right, headphone users, beware. This might be pretty loud. First time starting it in about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm excited to see what you guys think of the noise. So, yep, that's what it sounds like. I don't know if you could hear me in the video, but there was a lot of smoke coming out of that right side exhaust pipe. Kind of a little bit smoky in here. And then obviously you've seen the smoke coming out of the custom RSP catch can. And there's even a bit of water. I don't know if you could pick up the tapping sound that was coming out of this passenger side valve cover. But yeah, that's where she's at this point. Like I said, we're gonna try to make it down to RSP and get the new engine put in. We are putting some of the baddest cylinder heads that you can put on there. They're the AFR big boys for these Hellcat engines. James told me they're supposed to pick up like 80 horsepower. They're like insane. They've been doing a lot of research with them. And some people might be thinking about going with MMX, which MMX makes a good set of custom heads. I think my boy Josh Landry has a set on his built 1,000 horsepower. Or no, I think he's 1,200 horsepower now with a 3.8 Whipple. He goes by One Fast Hawk on social media. But he's got the MMX heads and they look like they do pretty good. These are a set of Livernois race heads. They've been through a lot of abuse. Like I said, when that crank snout broke off on me, I'll include a video of what happened when that crank snout broke off on me. So these heads have been through a lot, so I give them credit for holding up the abuse that I put them through, but it's time to go AFR and pick up and see what we can. We're on a short timetable. Race season is fastly coming to an end, so we need to get this thing back out here. If you guys have noticed, I did change my name back to Cole Dash, and that's because it just feels more fitting. It feels more me, and the court stuff is coming to the end and I'm ready to get back after it. No holds barred. A lot of people probably think that, oh, I was down about this and I'm not going to continue making videos. And I thought about that. I honestly thought about not making any more videos and quitting YouTube, because for the amount of time that it takes me to make a video and the amount of time and effort that I put into it, I really don't get a lot of payoff. Not a lot of people like, and not a lot of people comment. The people that do and do over and over, I notice you guys and I appreciate it a lot, but a lot of people don't subscribe either, so it just kind of like I'm doing this all for nothing, where I could just be doing it for myself and not having to worry about filming everything and waste a huge amount of time with the editing. We are gonna get the Trackhawk back on the road, better than ever. This has lit a fire underneath me. I've got more fire in my heart than I've ever had with this thing. My next step is either to go Whipple once we get the engine in, or we're gonna go drag pack. I haven't decided yet. James is probably gonna push me to go Whipple and fuel system, but that's what we're at for now. I appreciate it, everybody who made it through this long, boring video. But until next time, everybody take care and stay blessed.